Are you an empath? So you probably heard of that term empath. And a couple of people would say, I'm an empath, and so I feel this way. Now, whether you are highly sensitive, you can absorb other people's emotions, you are highly intuitive, or you are someone who like have that energy and you can feel the air and all of these things or not, I want you to know that you can develop, you can master empathic listening, because empathic listening is important in growing your coaching business, or if you are one entrepreneur and or one individual in the helping industry. Empathic listening as a skill is something that is gonna be very beneficial for you to learn, develop, and of course master. So that's gonna be our conversation for today. And for our toolkit, it will focus on developing the empathic listening so that you can grow in your business. So, welcome to day 21. And we're still on a runway of our 100 days life coaching toolkit mastery series. And if you are just joining in and if you have not subscribed to the channel, consider subscribing because it's gonna be another 79 days of toolkit learning, mastery, and use for you to grow and scale your business. So let's dive in for empathic listening for today's toolkit that you can snap for free but only for a limited time only. Day 21 it is. So thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for joining with me. Thank you for saying yes to Toolkit Mastery. So if you are one coaching professional, if you are one coaching enthusiast, and you are coaching in your own space, if you are a team leader, you are a boss, and you're using coaching to improve teamwork, to improve your leadership, to improve the performance of your team, the performance of your group, or you are one coach and you deal with relationship, you deal with sensitive issues, then empathic listening is something that you may want to consider as bedrock skill for you to grow and thrive in this profession. So I want to unpack what empathic listening is and what is it not, and how you can develop it and grow yourself into listening empathically, because a lot of us, okay, a lot of us in the profession needs that stretching of the heart, not just to understand but to be empathic when our client shares with us their stories, their situations, and their struggles. Now, empathic listening is paying attention to another person with empathy. So let me repeat that. Okay, empathic listening is paying attention to another person, or if you are a coach, paying attention to your client with empathy. So when you say with empathy, it means that you can identify with the client's emotional state at that moment in time. We've learned about active listening, okay, where you repeat back. So in coaching, you repeat back. So this is what you get, and you bounce back and let the person know that you're able to hear that, okay? So in terms of, we've talked also in the previous days, we talked about reflective listening, where we listen and we bounce back to the partner or to the other person how we get it, and how we understood the emotions, the thought process, and everything else that goes with the conversation. Now, with empathy or empathic listening, I want you to understand the concept of putting yourself in the client or the other person's shoes. And a lot of coaches or a lot of people miss somewhere in the interpretation of putting yourself in the person's shoes. Okay. So, for example, okay, in active listening, you're probably heard that, yes, I heard that something bad or something unexpected happened in your family. So, like, you actively heard the details, okay? But in empathic listening, okay, you would be able to identify the emotions of the person and you could respond this way, okay? I heard that this happens to you and I know that this upsets you. Do we have time? Do we have the moment? Can we have the moment? Can we have this space for us to talk about? Because I understand how upset you are, and I can offer a space for you. Okay, so you are putting yourself in the person's shoes and you would listen in that shoes. But here's the thing, okay? Oftentimes, many coaches or service provider miss the fact that when you put yourself in the person's shoes, it means that you are feeling what the person is feeling. And when you feel it, how would the person wants to be handled? For example, okay? People would say, I'm an empath and I know that this is difficult for you. So let me offer this. Okay. Let me help you with this. Let me do this for you. Now, that's I know that you can feel, but in empathic listening, okay, you will be able to respond in a way that you know what the person wants. Okay, so for example, some in our first case where the person is upset or the person is going through some tough times, okay, if you truly put yourself in the person's shoes, okay, there would be different ways to move forward. Okay, some people would want to be quiet, okay, and left alone. Some people would want some food given to them or delivered to them. Some people would want a conversation, an open conversation, or some people would say, I just want to go for a walk, and you go for a walk. So empathic listening means like you're listening, and as in the shoes of the person, you're able to see where the direction of the person's heart, mind, soul, and thought processing is going, and that where you can respond. Okay, so I'm sure you've heard the golden rule of do to unto others what would you have them do to you, right? So like if you want this, then if you want this done to you, you do it to other people. But in empathic listening, the golden rule is to determine what the person wants, because what you like the golden rule says, like, give to others what you want to receive, or do unto others what you want to be done unto you. But that would not be what the person wants. So for example, I want somebody sending me a love letter, okay, a friendship letter, okay, a letter that or a card, okay. So I want that. So when I'm going through something, I probably want somebody writing me a notes. By the way, that's a real thing. I love notes. I love cards. I love letters. I love that. Okay. So, but the thing here is there are people who, the person who's going through this type of situation, which I can relate, okay, may not want letters. Okay. So this person may want a walk. Okay, somebody who will accompany him or her in the walk, or somebody who would have coffee. Okay, so like it cannot be do unto others what you want to be done to you. In empathic listening, you are to listen what the person wants to be done to her or to him. So in empathic listening, there is no you, and it's all about the other person's need. Okay, so it is not about where, like, where do you struggle oftentimes is like you assume, okay, like because you're empath, okay, don't get me wrong. I don't want to go through the details of if you're an empath or not, okay. So whether you're an empath or not, I'll go back to my first conversation earlier. I said you can develop empathic listening because this is needed in growing our coaching business, okay. So for example, let me give you a couple of thing here, okay. When you feel bad when your client shares something to you, okay, when the client is going through tough moments, or in the conversation that person is like pouring out the heart, and you can feel that you feel bad, okay, you feel bad, okay, that's sympathy, okay, that's sympathy, that's not empathy, okay, because like you feel, I feel bad for my client, that's sympathy. What about you relating, okay, like a client tells you something and you say, I can relate with that, that happens to me also a year ago, or that emotions, I know that because I've been there. That's not empathy, that's not empathic listening, okay. So it's you connecting yourself to the person, but you're not putting yourself in the person's shoes, okay. So empathic listening got to do more of you being able to be in the present tense, in the way that you are taking the person's shoes, and the next thing, the moving forward is exactly how the person wants it, not about you, okay. So a couple of things that you can develop in empathic listening is to provide the person in front of you, the speaker, okay, your undivided attention. Okay, so that's what you learn in active listening, or being like just in the moment, like reflective listening, it's just like undivided attention, which I think is basic. Number two is that in empathic listening, you put all your judgment, okay? So you don't you don't minimize, or you don't trivialize, okay? So that what the person is telling you, that's a two opposite pole, okay? Some people would trivialize, some people would minimalize, okay? So either way, you don't minimize, you don't trivialize the person, okay? You don't confuse the person's issue with your own issue, because when you say, oh, that's little, I was able to handle it, so you can handle it. You can't do that in empathic listening, because something that is so petty to you may not be petty to the other person. Next, okay, you need to be able, okay, in empathic listening, you need to be able to read the speaker or the person state, okay. You need to observe the emotion behind words, so you can use the reflective listening here, okay. So like if the person is angry, afraid, frustrated, resistant, resentful, okay, when you respond, well, I'm not saying that you respond also being angry, resentful, but when you respond, okay, the emotions, okay, the emotions that you have in your conversation is in alignment with their conversation, okay. How do you do that? Is you need to be quiet. Don't feel you must, like, don't feel obliged that you need to respond immediately, because in empathic listening you need to be in the moment, in the shoes, okay. So if you allow a certain, like, you know, enough time, enough silence for you to put it in yourself, in your system, then the expression that you would have would be authentically in alignment with the emotions of the persons, okay. Now, when you are in the space where like you're listening empathically, okay, you need to clarify those areas that is not connecting with you, or not like making sense to your logic, because how can you be in the present, in the shoes of the person, if you are disconnecting, if you are not connecting with the emotions, or there are blockage to your understanding because there are things that you need to clarify and you're not clarifying, and then you will just say, oh, that's sad and I don't want to ask because I don't want the person feel feelings to like feel like I don't want that person to feel even more negative or like bad, like that's already a bad situation. The person is already feeling negative or bad, and then I'm gonna add to the emotion. So I don't want to ask. That's not empathic listening. Okay, empathic listening is you give them not only the emotions, okay, not only the how you see and heard and feel their thought processing, but you also give them, okay, like in coaching, feedback or feedback of their words, their state of mind, their state of emotions, your observations. You also give them examples that they might connect, and they will feel that you truly get to be in there. Oftentimes, the struggle is the moment you use yourself in this in the unless you have mastered this art. The challenge is when you use yourself as the example, oftentimes it's become sympathy, not empathy. Okay, now empathic listening will lead you to giving your clients a steps moving forward in a way that it's gonna be a aha moments for them. So it's not 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, because we don't do that as a life coach. But when you do real empathic listening, okay, and you feel like there's the wound that the client is feeling right now, then okay, you will know also as a practitioner what is it that you're missing. Okay, if you are in a space and in a conversation you're thinking what's going to be my next question, what's going to be my next item for clarification, that's not empathic listening. Because if you are truly listening empathically and you're there at the moment, you're there in the client's shoes, it will just naturally flow and it will naturally come out of you because you are in at like you're tuning in that moment with what the client is expressing. Lastly, I'd like to encapsulate, okay, the beauty of practicing and nurturing or strengthening your empathic listening. There are two, okay, there are two that's super helpful, and I would say like a gem if you are you want to know, like you want to grow in coaching profession, like two things, okay, that empathic listening will give to you. The first is empathic listening will give you the opportunity to truly understand what the client is expressing. So, in my case, a lot of my clients will give me the feedback like, "How did you know?" Like, I was about to say that. That's where I'm saying yes, or the. And the reason why I'm able to receive that is because I'm there at the moment and I'm listening empathically, okay, that I can receive the frame, the perspective, the emotions, the feeling, the thought process of the client. And so at that moment, I can say, I can really like look into what's next in the conversations, what's next in the steps that they want to take, or where do they struggle, where do they like missing the mark, or where the blockage is. Another thing, which is the second part, is if the first part is you being able to listen in a way that you are in deep understanding, the second part is empathic listening will make you uh, strong enough in making the client feel that they are understood. Okay, like it's gonna be a stronger receive, okay, it's going to be a stronger energy, if you may call it, or a stronger presence, and in which they know that they are understood, that they are being affirmed, and they're being validated, and that they can trust you. So empathic listening don't happen overnight, just like active listening, reflective listening. This is something that you can develop over time, but the thing here is Empathic listening is taking on the client's perspective, not your own. Okay? Taking on the client's perspective for the next step, not your own. Taking the person's perspective on what to park, what to go, what gonna be on the red, on the green, and all of those things. Client perspectives, not your perspective. So if you find yourself in a space where you say you're an empath and you can feel the emotion and you are like, bam, let's do this, do that, bam, bam, bam. If you caught yourself in that moment, then step back, okay, be quiet, pause, and then recalibrate. Because at that moment when you're starting to feel like that, like I can feel you, I can connect with you, let's do this, da 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 da. If you find yourself, if you caught yourself in that moment, then okay, that's sympathetic, okay, that you are sympathizing, that's sympathy, that's not empathic, okay. Empathic listening is highly reflective, being attuned at the moment, and the response and the way forward is perfectly just as the client wants. Now, if you are my client, you would feel this, that like at the end of the conversation, we are going on the same directions. Like this is like you want to go north, we're going north. You want to go south, we're going south. Okay, and yet you're progressing. Okay, so I am holding my process, I'm holding my toolkit, and yet, okay, because I am listening empathically, I can put myself in your shoes, and moving forward, I can journey with you in a way that it's not we're on the like opposite sides of the table, but we're on the same side of the table. And so let me close my uh, episode today by telling you that empathic listening will put you in like in a space where you are the authority in bringing results to your client. Like the moment you develop that empathic listening with a client and the client experience that, you will have that like authority space, okay, that space where no one else can occupy except you, because now, okay, the client knows that you are in the same space, that you are tuning in the same shoes, therefore you can both move forward and you're together, okay, you're together in the same side, not your client on the other side and you're on the other side, you're together. And in many cases, in most cases, in life coaching, in coaching practice, clients wants to journey with us when we are on the same side of the fence, not on the other side, making them feel bad, incapacitated, no ability, little, and all of that. And if you are one coaching professional, or you're like looking for that stint, okay, to grow your professional practice in coaching, know this, okay? The more you see your client less than you are, the more you see your clients struggling, the more you see your clients not permitted on all of these things without you, then you know that you're not an empathic listener, okay? Because empathy will allow us to stretch our hearts and serve our clients just the way they want it. Good day, everyone. This is Master Coach A, and super thank you. We've finished 21 days, and I'm sure by this time you have developed the habit. And I look forward, okay, you finishing 100 days, because in that you will know that the value of toolkit, the value of working on the toolkit, and the value of having the toolkits readily available in your toolbox is not just making a lot of money in coaching profession, but making yourself ready for every client that would come your way just when they need you and you're there in the space. Good day, everyone. I'll see you again tomorrow for day 22.